What do you guys want me to go ahead and get this thing over with? Whoa, now we got some sky, but get that contrast, Steve.
Like that better?
That's better. There you go. Now we can see the lovely mountains of Montana, probably, huh?
Yep. Walked across that right there numerous times.
I don't see any tracks.
Yeah, covered up.
Anyway, well, all right, let's go ahead and do this thing. And I just want, keep bring you guys up to date with what I'm up to. I had a more general presentation, but anyway, don't forget to ask plenty of questions if you got them. So let me see, I'm going to go up here and share my screen and we'll get going here. Share, and that's not showing anything, is it? So let's go down here and let's do a slideshow up here. Here's kind of an overview of what I've been working on. Can I move this out of the way? Yeah, good. Right now, out at the 32 inch at Bromosic, we got a Raspberry Pi out there, and it's got a Wi-Fi hotspot that we use to control the 32 inch telescope, and we have a desktop computer out there, and so we connect through there to control that scope. But what we want to do is add a far IR imager and an all-sky camera. The all-sky camera popped up recently. The idea is to try to get images back up to our asemonline.org website so that people can check them before they go out or even hope for them. The key to this is now this USB, the cellular modem, which we've actually had one donated to us, and we're getting a cut rate deal on the data, $10 a month for unlimited high-speed data, at least 4G, which is pretty fast. But the problem is that they're out of stock on the modems, and I'm just waiting for it to show up one of these days. I have tested it though, because our library had, you can check out these modems from our library. And I had one out there and checked it out, and it works. There's still, I've still got some things to work out of it. But also this modem will have a hidden hotspot that we might be able to use for some other expansion ideas. The ASEM hotspot does not connect through this. So these computers down here do not have access to the internet. I didn't really want that because dumb old Windows 10 keeps wanting to update all the time. And if it can't talk to it, it can't update. But anyway, so I was going to go ahead and talk about this far IR imager and the all-sky camera, and ask any questions you got along the way. Any questions about this? Nope.
Not yet.
Okay. This FIR, this FIR, I'm calling it, the far IR imager, is based upon this MLX 640 chip, which I didn't know anything about until a few months ago. I said, wow. And if you're not familiar with it, I got this, here we go. This is the Adafruit website showing this thing. And this is the lovely Lady Ada's fingers over here moving this little chip with a camera on it. And what she's doing, she's just thermal imaging the Raspberry here, and you can see the heat signature. And $74.95. Actually, that price has gone up because I think I paid $60 for the first one. But that's the way things are going these days, I guess. But anyway, and she supplies lots of the software you need to make this thing work. Of course, most of her software was trying to do videos, and they've got a lot of examples of videos on the webpage there. But I just had to figure out how to pull out one image at a time, and I managed to do that with my usual hunt and peck way. Anyway. So it is 24 by 32 pixels, which means 768 samples of the sky temperature. Now they've got, this comes in 2 lens versions, and I bought the 110 by 70 to get the biggest sky view we could get. But that means approximately a 3 by 3 degree resolution. Obviously, that's not going to do anything for astrophotography, but for clouds, if we only see a couple of 3 by 3 degree clouds, we'd be happy, I think. Anyway, so now the Bromosic Cloud Network, what I'm calling this. Here's just a real basic simple layout. The MLX 906040 comes, on a little breakout board, and it's got all the electronics built right into it. And I'm using a Teensy 4, MCU, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with those. I'm not too familiar with them. I just bought one. It's kind of a zipped up Arduino, and it uses the I2C thing to connect over. And of course, the software was available and worked out. And this is then connected by USB, which supplies the power. This goes back to the Raspberry Pi. And in the Pi, there's a Python program running that basically requests a data frame whenever we want it. And this thing handles that and sends the data back. Pretty straightforward. And this is what the data looks like, just a bunch of numbers. Excuse me, anybody, was that a sneeze? Bunch of numbers. These, floating point numbers. These are in degrees. They're supposedly calibrated from the factory in degrees Celsius. Yeah. What?
Oh, that's my chair.
Oh, I thought you were excited about these numbers.
I am. I love it.
But they come back 768 numbers like that. And of course, the first 32 correspond to the first row and so forth. So a little bit of deciphering to figure out to make an image. But anyway,
the temperature is in degrees C, huh? Each
degrees Celsius, yes.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Why we got negative 7.2 in there? Look at all those negatives.
Well, they're negative numbers. The sky can get cold. You're going to see more negative than that.
Oh! I thought this was the. Okay. All right. Okay.
Oh, yeah. All right. Okay.
That's an actual sky.
Anyway, but those are the numbers. But Chris is very, that's the same as all the digital cameras. They all just store numbers. But then you get into visualizing it. And I've been playing with the visualization. Over here on the left is a grayscale image where I just said, hey, the brightest will give it white and the coldest will give it black. And so that actually looks like, and this of course were cloud pictures. I had to wait for a while to get cloud pictures, but it sort of looks like clouds. But then I did a false color thing where each color represents a range of temperatures, ranging from blue up to red is the hottest, blue is the coldest, and it goes through these various stages. And in fact, this is the color scale of this image over here. And you can sort of see up here I'm not sure what that was. That wasn't really cold. That must have been something in it anyway. But it translated out blue, and the red is the hottest, which is this brightest white right in here, as you see. And anyway, it goes through these various colors. And again, it's just playing with the numbers. But over here is a more clear sky. And again, the blue is the coldest, and then the magenta, and then it goes to cyanus. It goes up in 5-degree steps. And this image here was taken back in September when we had some of those first clear days, Yeah. Except that while there were no clouds, it was kind of a milky white. You may have noticed that, which means there was some high haze, of course. But this is sort of showing that as we're looking straight up, and this would be vertical here. You can see through it better, but as you start to go out towards the edges, you get more and more crap in it till you get way out here. So anyway, it's sort of showing that it is detecting stuff in the air. So anyway, but moving on, how to interpret that? I've been playing with that. In fact, I can use any feedback, but I'm thinking that there's a better way. So I'm going to show you some of those. And here we got math to the rescue. I'm sure you guys know what a histogram is. This is a histogram of one of those images down here. And this is showing the percentage of the total pixels at a given temperature. And in this particular case, what we've got here is we've got two populations. This is bimodal, I think that's what they call it. But we've got some relatively cold things, although they're not all that cold. And another group up here that's a lot warmer. And but if we do the cumulative distribution, we get a curve that looks like this. And what this curve says is that for any given point here, say 40% here, 40% of the pixels are colder at or colder than this temperature here, and so forth. And in particular, we tend to be interested in the 50th percentile. So the 50th percentile point would be here. It's colder than about 5 degrees Celsius. So again, that was just another idea of exploring. And as we go along, I had some other examples. Now here's an example.
Crappy night.
Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. You changed the scale on the x-axis. I thought that was the crappy night scale. That's pretty good.
Well, it's not very good. I mean, look at all this hot stuff over here. That's why I
Yeah.
want to talk about that, because we've got two characteristics we want to look at here. But yes, this is another one. And I didn't do the histogram down here, just the cumulative thing. But yeah, no, this is really spread out there. And again, I'll show you some examples. Let's look down here. This is what we're really looking for, something that looks like that. This was taken, I think you might have been out there, Steve. This is a Friday night open house a couple of weeks ago. And I think everybody agreed it was the best night we've had all year. And this is what the data looked like. And we were seeing temperatures down here to like -28, and the median was in here somewhere around -25. But this verticality indicates the spread, and it's got a very narrow spread. And of course, what that led me to was to say, hey, what's the standard deviation of this?
Just slope.
Huh? It's that slope. What we really want to see is whoops, going the wrong way. Whoops, which way am I going? I'm going the wrong way. Here we go. Let's go this way. We really want to see that vertical, which says that it's uniform across the whole sky, as uniform as possible. And the narrowest this is going to be obviously better. So what I did was I said, well, let's just calculate the mean, we'll find the mean temperature and plot it against the standard deviation. And the standard deviation, of course, it has to do with the slope of that line. And this is a whole bunch of data just gathered over. Hey, there's Don Ledway. Let's wait when he gets in here. Hey, Don, can you hear us? You're muted, Don. Say hi.
Hi, guys.
Hey, sorry about that confusion.
Better late than never better late than never for me.
Okay. Well, we'll continue a little bit later. I can go back if you need something. I was just showing, well, let me go back just a little bit for Don, if you guys don't mind. Been measured, the idea here is to measure the sky temperature. And we got using this chip called MLX 9640. And it's controlled by this little microcomputer. And anyway, what we get is a bunch of numbers out of it, which represent the temperatures in degrees Celsius at over 768 pieces of sky spread over 110 degree by 70 degree field of view. So each pixel represents about a 3 by 3 degree patch of sky. And anyway, this is just the numbers, but then I talked about visualized it, made a grayscale image, and here you can see we're actually seeing clouds of some sort. This is a color thing, which is dividing it up into actual temperature ranges. And this one over here, but this is the kind of stuff we like to see, where it's all uniform and all cold. And I mentioned that we've been doing this statistics. Are you familiar with statistics like histograms and that sort of stuff? Anyway, so I'm just showing this was a typical example here of a bimodal thing. And this is the cumulative distribution, which says at any given point here says that for that temperature, there are that many percentage pixels colder than this temperature down here. And so, but anyway, so I showed some examples here and said, but this is what we want to find here. And this was an image that was taken back on the 5th of November at 8:39 in the evening. And I don't know if you were out there, I don't remember, but that everybody agreed that was the best night we had seen. So anyway, this is what we're kind of looking for. We like to see a curve is very straight and very cold to say we've got a clear sky. But anyway, so what I did here was a whole bunch of data gathered over a month with all kinds of clouds, whatever. I didn't pay attention to what they were. And I just plotted the mean temperature, the 50% point, versus the standard deviation. The standard deviation, of course, is a measure of how vertical that line is, that cumulative distribution. And this point right here is that good point that we just talked about a few minutes ago, the best I had seen to date. I have seen better since then. But I find a couple of things interesting, like this out here. I found this very interesting here. You guys recognize what that means out here? You notice the variation down these points here is very low. I mean, this is a uniform sky, but it's very warm. What does that mean?
Fog.
Fog, exactly. Fog, or at least a gray scale. And in fact, if you threw a blanket over it, that's what you'd see.
Now, if that was that uniform, but it was way off to the left at -20, -30, then you'd have clear skies.
Well, actually, it looks to me like for example, this is that best point right here. And it was like -22 or something like that was the mean temperature, and the standard deviation was about 1 degree. But I cannot imagine seeing a mean temperature down here and having a huge variation. Can you?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be some kind of checkerboard thing or something. I don't know.
I got that. I'm trying to remember if I got that in. What the hell? Yeah, I've seen that before, Jim. I don't recall what the weather conditions were. This is like 8 years ago when Duchek and I were working on that all sky sensor.
We had 1 point, right?
No, it was. I can't remember. I can't remember what it was. It was here in Hazelwood. It wasn't out in the country. And I think it was like in the winter. Ah, geez. All right. Yeah, I don't.
Well, but that sensor, in fact, John Duchek still runs one of those. I had one running myself for a while there, but I couldn't figure out how to get it weatherized to go outside, so I just did some simple stuff. But that was, since it only was just sampling one big pixel, if you will, you couldn't tell much about in between any spread. But anyway, whatever. But it sure looks to me like if we see something down here, we're gonna say that's probably a pretty darn good sky. Again,
Yeah.
And since then, I have seen one down here at -35. We can get better.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what I'm thinking again, how to convey this information from this sensor back to somebody that can use it. And it looks to me like these 2 points would probably be it. If I can say, hey, it's really cold and it's very uniform, you ought to take some heart that maybe the skies are clear. See what I mean? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, since we're now talking about doing an all sky camera, I think the combination of those might really work together. Okay, so right now, this is what I'm thinking about. In fact, I'm sort of thinking about doing a thing like the Clear Sky Clock does, depending upon what that range is give a color code. A nice blue if it's great, and a yellow if it's so-so, and a red if it's no good or something, So, but that's going to take a little ground truth stuff as we go along. And that's why I've asked anybody that's observing out there just to kind of note.
Will seasonality,
Hmm?
will seasonality affect that?
Let's go see.
No, what I mean is like in winter, you would expect to see the sky temperature lower when it's clear. And in the summertime, you would expect it to be higher.
Well, yes and no, because what this is measuring is crap in the atmosphere. I mean, if we just depend upon the far IR coming from the cosmos, it's cold. We can't even I don't think we can detect it with this system. Okay. So yeah, it could be that the water vapor or whatnot, but how much of it is up there? It's what's going to set this temperature. But anyway, I did do some 24, not 24, but 12-hour sort of things back in the warmer days. And yeah, you can see it start out at maybe -20 and go up to maybe -10 on one of those so-called clear days around noon, and go back down. So I think that's that haze, whatever it is, smoke. We had smoke, you remember last summer too. And that smoke's floating around up there, and it's got a temperature, and this is what it's measuring, the temperature of the stuff that's up there. So I do think it was heating up with the sun, whatever the crap is up there. But again, we would hope at nighttime that heating at least will go away. So anyway, that's where it's at right now. We're going to just see how really useful it is. But to me, it's promising. We can see something down here, but whether or not something in here would be acceptable. I mean, we might say yeah. In fact, I really think that some of that haze is right in here, but we can still see through some of the haze. If it's uniform and not lumpy cloud. But if we see anything like this, I think you better stay home, even if we're over here. So anyway, so then back to the, back then to the all sky camera. Since we, now looking at this last data point, you know, that I was concerned about, you know, I've looked at various ways to get that data back from Bromostick to the internet. And the amount of data was a bit of a challenge. And even looked at, you know, basically if we sent back a reading every 15 minutes of this data, I mean, you know, it's just 2 points. So what, 10, 15 bytes? We could have got away with a lot of low data rate requirements, you know. But then we got the possibility of getting this this cellular modem, and so we immediately thought, well, let's put a cell phone, I mean, a all sky camera. And these are a couple of shots I stitched from Dan Croson's New Mexico site, just as examples. Well, you guys have probably seen them, but you know, this is obviously a crappy night, and there's no question about it. This looks like a pretty good night. One of the problems is, though, is that at least as I've been playing with the camera, and Dan has gotten us a donation of the camera, so we didn't have to pay for that, is that it has an auto exposure. So if it's seeing a darker sky, I mean, you know, more stuff here, it might expose longer and still be able to pull out stars. So it still could be a bit confusing. But I think if we combine it with the IR, that we can really help judge the thing. But anyway, so we've got that camera. I'm going to show you the stuff I'm doing on that camera here. First, for the installation, this is what I'm, of course, doing some 3D printing here for the enclosures. This is a little 3D printed cap, and this is where that little lens pokes through. This lens is advertised as being hermetically sealed. So I poked it through, and of course we can't use a dome over this because a dome would have more temperature than anything else.
Thank you.
It has to be hanging out there and it's been out there now for 2 months. And in fact, I didn't see any sign of dewing or anything. In fact, dewing may not be a problem on this because, you know, I suppose this is probably a germanium lens. I mean, it's transparent to IR. If it's transparent to IR, it's not going to radiate in IR either. So it's not going to cool down as much as some other material.
Did you get a spec sheet for that camera system to that may get down deep into that kind of information, Jim?
Well, I didn't say anything about the actual lens, but given that it's an IR working at 14 microns, it's probably germanium. It can be glass or plastic.
It can't be?
I don't think so. Those things don't transmit IR very well.
Well, what IR? Well, yeah. I mean, if they're not opaque, if they do transmit some,
No,
then,
but the problem is they radiate IR. I mean, we just bathe the chip in IR.
well, yeah, because the problem that we had with that original MLX part was self-heating.
Self-heating.
Yeah, that kept the dew off.
Yeah.
Your signal.
But it also warmed up the you know, where the dome was.
Well, you didn't use a dome on it, did you?
Pardon?
Did you use a dome on that?
I was using a Dairy Queen, you know, those hemispherical lids.
Yeah.
I was using one of those.
But when you did that, you just put an IR source right in front of your detector.
Well, okay, so I calibrated that out, you know, and that's what I say. I could understand how they may not be using a germanium in their lens because they just calibrate the response curve of that lens and then send back the data that's been manipulated accordingly.
Well,
I mean, they do have a microprocessor in there with memory.
yeah, they do. They've got some kind of a processor, and it does, because all you do is send a command up to it and say, give me that data, and it'll send it back. You know, it's pulling that stuff off, it's clocking and all that kind of stuff.
We have no idea how that raw data is manipulated before it gets to you. And quite honestly, that's what I would do is if I wanted to make it cheap and I knew the lens was going to cause me some issues, I'd probably run some tests and find out what kind of, if it's consistent, then I can say, I've got if I've got a 10-degree black body and I put this lens in front of it and now it says it's 15 degrees, I just calibrate that out. You see what I'm saying?
That's not the same thing.
Yeah, it is. I can calibrate out. Well, okay, yeah.
I mean,
That's-
you're in effect putting noise on it. And you can't calibrate out noise.
It's a whole lot more of an in-depth conversation than what we got here.
Okay, well, anyway,
Basically,
Anyway.
what I'm saying is it can be calibrated out and you can make that lens transparent effectively.
okay, well, we'll agree to disagree right now. But anyway, but this has been out there, and I did not see any sign of dews when it was doing weather. Whether or not we'll see frost, I don't know. But the point is that if you get that water on top of that lens, that water is going to be radiating IR. And it's black. Water is a pretty good radiator of IR, at least in these frequencies, these wavelengths. And ice is probably just about as good. So anyway, so you know, this the little chip we've got a 3 volt and a ground, and then the 2 for the I2C thing, and that all plugs into there. And I just want to show you the design of this. You know, just a couple of I still use OpenSCAD for this. It's just a few cylinders put together. But I did leave a little ridge in here so that I'm using a PVC pipe to go into there, so it'll stop there. It's working pretty good. And here it is actually mounted out there. It's been out there for a couple of months now. Because I was taking data and just going out and checking it before. Now I can radiate it up to the well, I don't have one right now. Anyway, so there it is out there, mounted up there next to this. And one of the hopes that I'm hoping, and supposedly the guy from Truman State's going to be down here visiting here sometime in the next week or two. I'm hoping that we can tap into their data stream too, so we can have 3 actual measures of the sky. This plus the Offsky camera. So anyway, but now here, this is then the Offsky mount for that camera. It's needs a bigger box, and again 3D printed. Incidentally, I'm using PETG for I hope better climate control. You know, it's also, I think, a stronger material. But this is the cap, and the camera fits in here. This is the body that holds that camera. And in order to support the camera in there, I first thought about just gluing it into this. Well, I didn't like that idea. But the camera has a 1/4-20 threaded receptacle in the back of it. So I got a 1/4-20 bolt out of my scrap box, and I designed and printed up this little thing here. And this thing wedges down against there, and when this is in, it'll hold it nicely. In fact, here's kind of a prototype picture here with the dome on it. You see, and you can see how the camera fits through there. This is not, I don't think this is hermetically sealed, so I think that's why we need the dome. But anyway, you can see what that looks like. This is the design of that internal support, which, again, you know, once upon a time we were talking about some of this 3D design. I really like OpenSCAD. I designed it up in just a couple of minutes, and I think it's pretty neat. See, it's got the same slope here that's on the slope of the bottom of that receptacle. So it fits down there, and this is the clearance hole for that 1/4-20. I just got a couple of nuts here that I can adjust it to. Oh, whoa, it's going crazy. There. So I can adjust that. And when this is put on there, I intend to glue it down. I'm just going to use hot glue on it in case you ever need to take it off. But I think hot glue will give it a weather seal. Oh, it's got a pretty good overlap there anyway. So moving around here. This is the cap that is on the printer there. That's the way it came out. And this is the other receptor. This is the final production volume. This is again PETG. That took about 3.5 hours to print. I don't really print too fast, but it's looking good to me. And so anyway, that's where I'm at right now. Although I did want to show a couple of things. Let's see what I want to show that. Let's see, what have we got over here? It's over here, I think. That's my Zoom meetings. Let's go back over here. Well, wait a minute. Let me see. I got something else here to show you. Hold on. Well, how come that thing keeps going out? No, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want this. Okay, this the thing is running in my office right back over here, And you see, here's the latest image. This is a little web thing that I'm using the software that some guy developed for this that Dan recommended. And I've just figured out how to use what I need. It does a lot of things and I don't know what I want to do. But anyway, but this is the most recent image. I'm having this take every 29 seconds there. And it's just landing there on my desk, looking at my computer there, I guess. But what is this? 1942 now, 1941, 51 was the last image. So this is updating every 29 seconds. But then this image is coming in. It's coming into the Raspberry Pi. It's coming in here. This image right here. See that? There it is at 1942. It just keeps putting it in, and the live view image is up here, but this image keeps coming in. So I'm just shipping that up to the webmaster's drive, Google Drive, and that's what I was going to show over here. Let's see, is it over here? Where's it at? Oh, it's over here. I got too many things up here. Oh, here it is. So it's just shipping it up to the web. So it's showing up in here, and I can't. This is the Google Drive up here for the webmaster, and I don't put in my personal account. I just put in the webmaster so this can be continuous for other people. And so the trick then is to get this image to show up on the web page, and that's easy to do. Except that I know I did this once before, to where every time this image changed, it would change on the website. But it seems like right now it doesn't want to change, so I got to figure that out. But anyway, so just that's simple to get the data out of the Raspberry Pi and up to the and the Raspberry Pi right now is, so here's a new image here, 6:50 p.m. came in. The Raspberry Pi right now is connected to my internet here in the house. And when it gets out there, it'll go through that cell phone modem. So anyway, this stuff's all kind of working. Still got to come up with a little bit of how we display this image. Now this
Hey,
is,
Jim,
say,
let me back you up for just a moment.
sure,
You're using the new Google Drive tools, right, for the web page.
yes.
I've noticed that when I do stuff and put an image on, if I then later edit that image and then save it, it doesn't update on my web page, and I literally have to insert it as a brand new image. Google Drive apparently does, excuse me, the Google Sites apparently doesn't. I'm thinking it stores the images somewhere else.
That's quite possible. Now, you can embed images, you can embed URLs, Have you tried that?
No, I haven't tried the URLs.
Well, of course, you can get a URL for that image right there, Let's see here, you've got, get the link, that's a link to that actual, it's a URL to that actual image.
Sure.
Okay? But also in the Google Sites thing, you can display an image in your Google Drive, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was playing with this, before I got this far along, I was playing with the idea, and I had it working to where it would update it. You might have to reload the page, but it would then get the most recent image, and I can't figure out how I did that.
Yeah, I'm having trouble getting it to work.
I don't take very good notes, I'm afraid. But anyway, it'll work out. We'll figure out a way to do it. There's also looking at the possibilities like the Weather Channel does, or the radar thing, that we might show the last 15 images in a little movie, to see what the clouds are doing or something like that. In fact, if anybody got any ideas on that, I'm happy to adopt them and put them in here, And maybe after we get stuff up actually on the website, we get some more feedback about what people would like to see or think we can do. But anyway, right now, the idea would be to try to show the visible light image, to show the evaluation of that image in IR. And again, maybe we can get that all sky, or that clear, what do they call it? The clear sky monitor, that other sensor that's out there. Maybe we can put all three of those numbers up there in some sense, and people will be able to get a good feel for what's happening. And one of the things, of course, most, at least me and most people I deal with, we look during the afternoon, decide whether or not to go out. But there's an awful lot of folks that like to go out there at 3 o'clock in the morning and do something, and it'd be nice to have a good check before they go out. I think they might be the most usable ones who use it the most. But at any rate, it's fun. And I think it'd be a neat little addition to our webpage and to our overall service. Anyway, anybody else?
What kind of camera is it?
What it's one of those that Dan got from somebody else, ASI something. It's a well, here, it's a color camera. Not that one. This one. You can see it's a color camera. I think you can see it's color. You see that? Yeah, that's just laying in there. I did focus the thing the other night on the winter triangle, and then I locked down the lens. That's before I seal that dome on there. I want to make sure I've got a good focus for stars. And in fact, well, I'll have some time here probably before we get to the other thing, but it was showing the images pretty. And of course, in my backyard, it's very light polluted. But I was able to focus on those stars. And anyway.
Okay, do you know what software is running on the camera?
Nope.
Okay, I put and pasted 2 links in down in chat. Cloudy Nights has got a current thread about some guy developing an all-sky camera software. And then the second one that I called the good one, that's a guy who lives in Canada, who put together an all sky package that works really, really, really well in Linux. And it's free.
Well, I'm using one that where the guy was really interested in. He's up in the Yukon, and he was interested in the to recording the aurora.
Okay, yeah, that's the
Same
second
guy?
link.
Yeah, I'm using his software, and that's what this is here. But okay, you see this is called All Sky, and so he's got this is sort of helpful, but I don't understand an awful lot of, because he was also trying to do star trails. He was trying to make movies. Dan saves an MPG of the whole night, and you can run through it. I wasn't interested in that, at least right now. I don't know why we would need to save images very long. In fact, the way it's going now, it keeps writing over that same image. It's using the same name, so it just writes over it, and we're not really taking up a lot of data in the Google Drive, although we got 30 gigabytes. But some of this has been useful. For example, well, here, let me look at camera settings. This answer your question here. Here, it's a ZWO.
You got auto exposure set up, and you were saying that's all it did. And I knew that this thing could use and set manual exposure and contrast.
Well, it says here, I can say no and set the nighttime settings to the same thing, I think. Okay. But then we're gonna have to sit and figure out what's in our light polluted sky. I don't know. There's some nights that we go out there when all you can see is 2 stars, So I don't know.
Okay.
But we can change it if we get a little experience. But yeah, it is set for auto exposure for nighttime right now. And I guess the daytime is automatic auto exposure.
Okay. Do you are you having to take exposures during the daytime?
I have done some, yes.
Okay. No, because as part of this software, you can also run it in such a way that it'll only take exposures at night.
Well, actually, that's the way I have it set up now.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Well, what I'm doing is that live, it's always taking pictures. And whether or not it saves them is the day-night thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Because this guy had the idea he wanted to upload them, and I haven't figured out how to upload them himself, especially going to a Google Drive. So in his upload, he was actually using the Wi-Fi in the Raspberry.
Yeah.
Upload to his house. Okay.
I mean, I've run the software before.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, well, that's fine and dandy. but again, I'm trying to get in, anyway. So it's working right now, and if we can come up with a better idea, but yeah, right now, the thing is that, and I can change that, though, it might be useful to change that. But I mean, but I can always get the current image. And in fact, the way I'm doing it right now, and again, this can be changed, is right now it's taking pictures every 20 seconds roughly. But I'm telling the Linux, hey, do a cron job, and every 15 minutes, send that picture up, you know, and I can change that time too if we want earlier. So the Linux just goes and says, hey, there's a file here. I'm going to send it up to the web, you know, and I can change that time. But the other thing, but now there is a well, let me go back over here and look at, wait, maybe I can do it there. Let me check here. I got my Linux up here. Let's see here. I can't see that. This stupid thing up here kills me. The zone thing. I mean the zoom thing. Let's see if I can move this down. I can't move it down.
Nope. A
Anyway,
little down arrow.
anyway, no, that's not what I want. What I was going to do, see, I am VNC into the
Raspberry Pi.
Pi. Well, here, wait a minute, and I got this stuff in the way. Let me get you guys out of there. You guys are pretty enough. I don't need to look at you, do I? Okay, this is the. Let me download. Make that smaller. So I want that smaller. What? Wait a minute. I don't know. Up here is where my. Come on. How can I get rid of that? There it is. Okay. The software automatically puts, it's got this Offsky folder. It sets that up in there. And the images come in here. And so here it's starting to stick those images into this folder here. These are the nighttime images that are being stored. And it only stores them starting 30 minutes after sundown to 30 minutes before sun up. So I mean that's the division. It's always taking pictures, but it only stores the pictures in that time frame into this album of this folder here. So anyway, that's what it's doing. Go back to here. But anyway, so with the live view, is this. And each one of these is got a timestamp on it, which I find to be pretty convenient.
You could configure that to make it look a lot prettier.
I'm not much into pretty stuff. Well, I put this on just for testing here. I'm not sure we even care what the exposure is.
Do you have the Raspberry Pi that you're using? That's the one that's going to go out to the park, or you're going to?
It is the one for the park. Yes, it is the. I have to carry that with me on Friday night so we can use the hotspot.
Okay. Are you going to? Does it have a real-time clock in it?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's also got the internet, so it can do internet time. When it's out there, it'll be connected to the internet. And I'm pretty sure it does a time update. Yeah, I put a real-time clock in it, so I hopefully try to get it to be a time server for the 32-inch. Can never get that to work. So the 32-inch, we still have to change the time whenever we start it up. If anybody knows how to get that to work, I'd be happy to let them do it. I'm not very happy with it. Anyway, so I don't know where to go back to. Go back to here, I guess. Any questions or anything else? Anybody else got anything else they want to talk about? You know, I got to tell you that the DIY was one of my favorite things. That, you know, Because, you know, it's not been as active as I would like, you know, when I was starting out, man, everything was DIY. We made our own telescopes. You know, we fooled around with cameras and things, and we didn't have none of this kind of technology. But, you know, talking about that thermal thing we were doing 10 years ago or so, I get what I'm working when I was out in Bourbon, but then I couldn't figure out any way to mount it into a case that would be weatherproof and stuff like that. And that's why I jumped on these 3D printers, you know. Now I can make those things work. And you might have noticed I didn't get let's see here, where's it at? No, it's down here. Let's go down here. Here. I mean, I didn't print any circuit boards or anything. All that stuff just fits down in there. I mean, that's a breadboard basically fitting inside the case, and I think it's secure enough. I'm not worried about it. There's some strain relief in there on this cable. So I could actually build one and put it out in the field. And it's all because of being able to make these things now. But I'm really kind of, I am proud of this little guy, that little guy.
How thick is it?
Huh?
How thick is it?
I think I made it 4 millimeters, maybe a 6 millimeters. I don't remember.
Okay. If it were thicker, you could embed the nut inside of it.
I could do what?
Embed the nut inside of it.
Oh yeah. Well, but I got 2 nuts out there, so I can. Anyway, it's a well, I could have done that. Yeah, right. You're right. There's lots of ways to do it, and again, I dashed that off. You know. But it's kind of a cute little thing. It's really kind of a sophisticated little thing. You look at it. And needless to say, I went through several prototypes. Till I got, this is a prototype here, which didn't quite work because I couldn't screw the dome on here. So the thing that finally got made, I had enough room here. Well, this is upside down, but the dome screws down here, and the other thing fits in here. But that extra thickness right there is for the screws. But you know, it's 30 cents of material here, 40 cents of material there. What the heck? 8 hours, I sleep through it. No big deal. Now I finally got my my printers working. I was having the darndest time with these printers. The motors kept overheating, just driving me crazy. I thought I had a bad chip driver, you know. And but then I came across. But then I thought maybe I got a software problem. So I uploaded the latest, burned in the latest modern thing, you know, firmware, and tested and worked. Hey, great, it's working. But what I didn't realize was that my first test was just to use the SD card with the image on there, put it in there and run it. But I use a Raspberry Pi, not a Raspberry. I use a Raspberry Pi as an Octoprint. I think I taught you guys know what that is.
Yeah, run it.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Who's that said that? Dan? Don?
Oh, that's Steve.
Steve. Who said that?
That said, Steve.
Well, what I found out is that the Raspberry Pi was interfering with the board. And so I finally found a fix, and I had to block off the 5 volts from the Raspberry Pi into the chip, the board. When I did that, everything works fine.
Okay.
Hey, Don, you're the treasurer now, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, I have a couple more bills. I guess I'll send them to Jim, but I'll send them to you just so you know where they're coming. I'm using that credit card. But
Okay.
I'm about to run out. Actually, I've ordered, I signed up for a year's data on that thing. It's $120, but they won't charge it until they actually ship the thing to me.
Okay. Yeah, the way we got it set up is all the bills get sent to Jim, and
Okay,
then he sends them to me, as approved. So I actually don't approve any of the expenditures he
okay.
does.
I got you. I guess it'll be Chuck now then, huh?
Yeah, and that'll be Chuck. January 1, you can send them to Chuck.
Maybe get it to Jim now because you don't know what Chuck's policies are gonna be.
Yeah, that's right. What you got, Steve?
3D printed,
Yeah, beautiful. What is it?
dovetail joint, dovetail joint, dovetail joint, dovetail joint.
Oh, it looks like
Oh.
chop.
Yeah, right.
Lamb chop finger puppet.
No, you put this on a telescope and now you can mount 3 things in that one little spot.
Can't
And
even see it. Can't even see it. All I see is a little thumbnail.
Better?
Yeah.
Come on, camera.
So those
I have
are,
this problem. It's
those
between
are
the
separate
camera.
pieces that then fit together?
Pardon?
Was that printed as one piece or are they separate pieces?
No, that's all one piece.
It's all one piece printed together, okay.
Yeah, and then this got printed today, and then 2 bolts to hold whatever in here, 2 bolts to hold whatever in here.
Oh,
2
I
bolts
got
to
you.
Hold whatever in here, and then this guy gets hooked on to the Vixen on the scope.
I got you, okay. What's your material you're using?
That's PETG.
It's PETG?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I have given up on PLA.
I haven't given up on it, but since I also upgraded my Ender 5, I put an all metal extruder on it or
Mhm.
nozzle. And but also since I still got the Ender 3, I'm just going to use the Ender 5 for PETG and then use the Ender 3 for PLA. They'll still make toys with the PLA,
Yeah. It's like, I have this bad habit of leaving stuff in the car, and in the summertime, PLA does not like that.
Yeah. Okay, well, all right. If anybody got this, I'm ready to go to bed or something. Let's get some more projects going on. This DIY thing should be a lot more active.
Jeez. I got enough projects to last me for the rest of my retirement, Jim.
Well, talk about them. Tell the rest of us about them.
Oh, well, they're not astronomical.
Oh, well,
Okay. To
They
me,
are astronomical.
but they're not astronomical. I mean, I've got a couple of guns to work on. I've got this model lighting thing I'm doing for these guys. I'm still sorting through my dad's estate stuff. Oh, geez. I'm working now harder than when I had a job.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's right. I have less time. I finally resubscribed to Wired magazine,
Oh, yeah.
and I haven't read a single copy since I got it. I don't have any time.
Yeah, no. It's because I'm doing all the things I couldn't do when I was working.
That's right, all the fun things.
Man. So that's becoming a chore. But it's fun.
Yep, that's fun. That's my motto.
I'm like Steve Burner, except I don't have the energy and the brain power anymore. Ugh. So be careful, Don. You could be like us.
Well, I am like you guys, and yeah, I don't have enough time to do all the crap I want to do either.
Well,
One must be
Steve
selective.
mentioned again, well, but it's Andy just wants to do the SID thing.
Oh yeah.
That goes back 50 years with me. It's just been hanging back there. And of course, with these, what I'm wondering, back then, I'm talking 50 years ago, I don't think we weren't using tubes. We might have been using some tubes. I mean, I think it's like 24 kilohertz is that signal, you know?
Well, there are a number of them around there.
Well, I know it, but that 24 was the one. Well, 24, I mean, we can do that. We can sample it in the Raspberry Pi or something similar, and we can do digital filters and stuff like that. I mean, my God, we don't need, it'll all be software. So there's got to be somebody done that already, and I'm going to look into that later.
Yeah.
I remember another experiment I kind of looked at, which I think would be neat to do. It was just, put yourself up
Hey, Jim,
what?
stop sharing your screen.
Stop sharing my screen. That's easy. Yeah, I would be better. You're right. There we go.
Then
Is
I
that
get to
better?
see
Yeah,
everybody.
everybody. See, I thought I was going to be far out, but there's Don. He's clear out there in the Veil Nebula or something. I don't know. One-upsmanship.
Yeah, I liked the picture. I thought it was cool. So
Yeah, yeah. But a lightning rod is not there to attract lightning. It's there to discharge the clouds. So there's a current that flows up through there that varies as the electrostatic stuff flies overhead, and you can monitor that just for the fun of it. And I have not set one of those up yet. Now you do got to make sure it doesn't turn into a lightning rod while you're monitoring. You better have a very good fusible link there somewhere. But that's just let it run. That's kind of a thing with these temperature things, Just watching those and see what happens. You never can tell what you're going to find. The big data, we can do big data too. One of the things I spent a lot of time on too also was looking at these cloud images, was trying to do artificial intelligence to spot good skies. And that stuff is fantastic, what you can do with even a Raspberry Pi. You can get those trained models to recognize it. And so I don't know. I spent some time on it, but decided that this was a better approach. And just about like all of my computer things, while I spent some time trying to figure out how to do one of these long range radar things, that send about 300 bytes per minute or something like that, out over long distances. They've actually sent 50 miles with 100 milliwatts. That's point to point from mountaintop to mountaintop. And that big problem around here is trees. But
Mountain.
it comes along and we can get unlimited data for 4G data for $10 a month. You just slip into it.
Man. Oh, that's gonna be a mess.